these 3 years of your journey has been fruitful. In fact, now is the time for you to apply your knowledge when you move on to new ventures. Let me tell you that management is all about leadership. Management is all about managing people. Now, how is it that you manage people with the kind of knowledge that you gain? Is it just enough to apply the knowledge that you have gained, or is it anything else that is required when we talk about becoming managers or becoming leaders? Let me tell you that leadership is all about managing people. It's more to do with people skills. Yes, knowledge with a combination of a skill set is something that will give you reach the pinnacles of success. Now we have a PowerPoint. Let me start with Are you able to see the screen?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Now is it visible?
It's starting, ma'am.
It just showed. Yeah.
Yeah, when we talk about today's session, we are handling with emotional intelligence. When we talk about emotional intelligence, you see the picture there, somebody balancing between the heart and the brain. What does it mean when we say that we need to balance between the heart and the brain? Yes, it's all to do with balancing. We do not allow the heart overpower the brain, or we do not allow the brain overpower the heart. It is very, very important for us to strike a balance between these two. Now when we say emotional intelligence, every day, every minute, each one of us have varied emotions. We experience emotions, but we are defining and redefining that emotional intelligence is something that's a new skill, or emotional intelligence is the need of the hour, or the buzzword that's very, very prevalent or popular now. When we talk about leadership and when we talk about leadership and people skills, emotional intelligence plays a very, very vital role. Yes, when we apply the knowledge gained over the past 20 years that we have attained, we apply that knowledge using our skill set. How is it that we gain that skill set? Is it enough for us to actually sit in the class within the confines of the classroom and then say that, yes, I have gained all the intelligence that I need? There are multiple intelligences, and hence these multiple intelligences that we gain over a period of time with varied experiences, with varied exposures, that is what will make us a full-fledged personality. Okay, coming to, now let's move on to the next slide. Now, the objectives of the session. Now, let us understand what EI is all about. Let's look into the brief history of EI. Let's see what the impact of EI is and when is it needed, and strategies for gaining EI. Now, when we say what is EI, emotional intelligence, emotional quotient or emotional intelligence, first is recognize, understand, and manage your own emotions. Each one of us have varied experience in a daytime. Sometimes happy, sometimes sad, sometimes you know, you have a very, very bitter experience. Sometimes you have an overexciting experience, so on and so forth. But it is in us to manage all these emotions and strike a balance between these extreme emotions that we have. And is it just important to understand our own emotions, our own feelings and things like that to be successful in life? No, it is important to recognize and understand the other people's emotions also. Why is it important to understand other people's emotions and other people's feelings? Remember, when we talk about leadership, we are talking about people skills. When we are talking about people skills, we are talking about how we handle people. People coming from different diverse patterns, people having different dynamics, people coming from different cultural backgrounds, people coming from different social backgrounds, people coming from, you know, different geographical backgrounds. So when we are handling a class of, say, set of 50 people, we are handling 50 different emotions, 50 different mindsets. So when it is that we are talking about handling 50 different emotions and to stabilize what is being conveyed, to stabilize what is happening in a given scenario, it is highly important to understand and what EI is all about, to understand how is it that we, you know, manage to have a flow of all these intelligences and, you know, work towards the organizational objectives. Now, moving on, the next slide. Now, the beginning of EI, when we talk about emotional intelligence, as I told you, it is not a rare factor that EI wasn't there, or, you know, it isn't that something new has come. EI was there when civilization started. EI has been there for all this while, and then it's just that we are relearning them or redefining them. Now, technically speaking, the word first appeared in a paper by Michael Buldosh in the year 1964. Okay, it was but the first published version of EQ, emotional quotient, was initiated by Keith Peasley in 1987. And then this man, Daniel Goleman's book, Emotional Intelligence, Why Can Matter More Than IQ, in 1995. This became something very, very rampant, very, very widespread. And that's how Daniel Goleman's model of EI also, the 5-ringed model of EI, also became widespread worldwide. Now, moving on to the next slide. Now, how is it that EI gained prominence? How is it that, you know, we understand that when did people get to know that there is something other than IQ? Yes, is it only IQ that is equal to success? Not at all. Yes, there are multiple intelligences that come to fore. There are multiple intelligences that play, that, you know, entail success. Now, there is a theory by Howard Gardner that talks about the frames of mind, the theory of multiple intelligences, that he says in his theory that IQ fails to explain the cognitive abilities of people. IQ alone is not enough, which means the knowledge that we gain from books is not just enough for us to be successful. Remember, even in the best, you know, the people who have got the best scores in their B schools don't think that they are the only people preferred by employers. Employers look for people who have a balanced strike between the IQ and the EQ. The EI levels are something that's looked for. Okay, when we come back to Howard Gardner's theory, he introduced the concept of multiple intelligences. What is the concept of multiple intelligences? He says that, there are two important skill sets. One is the intrapersonal skill set and the other the interpersonal skills. Now, what are the intrapersonal and what are the interpersonal skills? Intrapersonal skills deals with all those skills that an individual possesses within himself, that is something very innate, he already has it. Okay, say something like hardworking, something like, he is a good time management, he has good time management skills and things like that. Now, what is interpersonal? Interpersonal is always to do with people, it's always to do with a group of people. Yes, when we are exposed to a group of people, our skill set come to the fore. For example, say that you are organizing, or you are, as students, you are part of an event or an activity in your, from your department. Okay, so then you have been given the task that, it's not that the faculty involved in organizing, it's only you who has to do the entire program. So what is it that you do? You have a meeting and then you identify each one's skill set. You see who are the people good at, budgeting, who are the people good at planning, who are the people good at executing, who are the people good at comparing, so on and so forth. And that's how, when you have your interaction and your daily communication with these people, you will understand that, you have got certain skills which you haven't realized them before. So this kind of an exposure has actually given you a platform to understand that you certainly have people skills. Am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So Howard Gardner's theory of intra and interpersonal skills is what collate to become IQ. So that is what we mean by, saying that IQ plus EQ will lead to success, but alone IQ will not lead to success. Now, coming to the fact that to understand whether EI affects us or emotional intelligence affects us, it certainly does. Yes, it certainly does. People who have been having a good emotional intelligence, or people who have been exhibiting good emotional intelligence, have been great performers. Yes, they have been people who have been in the leadership. They have been able to manage relationships very well. Relationship management is something very, very important. Remember, we are not solo performers. We are never seen as performers, as individual performers. People now are looking for employees or staff or, skill set where they have these relationship management. How is this person good at being with people? Now, you would have seen that, one of the rounds in an interview is a group discussion. Yes. So in a group discussion, they understand what is your body language with the other people, how you handle a situation when somebody opposes you very vehemently, when somebody, gives you a smack immediately over there. What is your mental state of mind over there? How do you handle your emotional intelligence at that point of time? Yes. EI also affects mental health. Somebody who has excellent EI has, positivity. The adrenaline hormone rushes in them like anything, and, they are the go-getters. Physical health. You aren't taking things in the right stride, definitely your physical health would be affected. Your poor EI, just in case you have a poor EI, definitely that will have an impact on your mental health. In case of, you suffer from anxiety, you suffer from depression, you suffer from so on and so forth, psychological disorders and all. And then this will certainly have a spiral impact on your physical health with, you know, cardiovascular or, you know, many of the other diseases associated with stress and all that. Now, what is social intelligence? Does it really have an impact on the social intelligence? Yes, it does. Now, what is a social intelligence? It is a skill that you have to understand the other people before you and also handle their emotions, their feelings constructively. Okay, a person or a leader who is able to handle EI well would certainly display social intelligence. It helps you connect with other people, it helps you connect with the world around you, and you become highly influential. Now, when is EI needed? When we talk about emotional intelligence, is it that, you know, we need emotional intelligence always in our life, every moment in our life? I say yes. We are, you know, we are multitasking. We are at a professional setup, we are in a domestic setup, and every setup needs our EI. Now, when is it that EI is needed? Point number one, dealing with change. What is a change that we are confronting now? You know, pandemic. The pandemic is a buzzword now. COVID is a buzzword now. Aren't we dealing with a change so very constructively? Yes. As students, you are dealing with a change. As teachers, we are dealing with a change. We are orienting ourselves to a new kind of a setup altogether. We used to have, you know, a live interaction with our students, and you would interact with us. That would actually, build a stronger relationship. In fact, understanding each one over there, and, you know, understanding your body language. That's when the communication flows very smooth, and it is always a two-way approach. We are handling the change. Yesterday, you know, my son was showing me, you know, you are doing online classes and all that. Do you have such an experience? He showed me a video where, you know, a poor teacher is taking an online session, and then somebody, the sibling of that student comes and says, "Madam, aap shadishuda ho," and things like that. So these are the very weird experiences that people can have. And yes, we are dealing with change. Somebody with emotional intelligence, would it be fine if he or she becomes impulsive and say, and just strike the person and verbally and say, just get out from here, or things like that? No, you can handle a situation in a very humorous way, in a very matured pattern. So that is what is required now. Now, dealing with setbacks and failure. Yes, EI is needed when you're dealing with setbacks and failure, because we see, or we get to hear so many people, you know, taking the untowardly step when they're not able to handle or confront failures or setbacks in their life. It's so very unfortunate. It's so very unfortunate that they aren't able to, you know, handle small deterrents or small stumbling blocks in their way. Next, dealing with challenging relationships. Is it important to have or display emotional intelligence when we deal with challenging relationships? Yes, very important. It surprises us, you know, when as teachers, when we get a little closer to students and say, and ask them, why is it that you behave like this? Why are you so arrogant? Why are you not attentive in class? And so on and so forth. Why are you not a good performer and all that? Then, you know, we are sometimes surprised to listen to their stories when they say that, you know, ma'am, things are not good at home, or, you know, I don't talk to my dad, I don't talk to my mom, you know, our relationships are not really good at all. So these are the facts that we are facing. These are the, what do we say, the changing times that's also throwing challenges at home as well. Now, dealing with these relationships is very, very important because, mind you, it's not just the professional pinnacle that's important. A balance between personal life and professional life is what makes a person successful. There might be setbacks in our lives, but then we should be able to handle those setbacks. We should be able to handle relationships well. But how do we do that? It all depends on not just handling our own emotions, but then handling the other person's emotions also. Understand, what did we say that EI is all about? Not just understanding our emotions, not just understanding, you know, our feelings and things like that, but it's also important to understand the other person's emotions and feelings. Only then, we can have a healthy life. Now, when is EI needed? When we do not have much resources, that is one way. When we get stressed, giving and receiving feedback, meeting tight deadlines, not having enough resources. We, tend to get overstressed when we do not have the required inputs, when we do not have the required resources, and then have, realize a kind of mental slump or mental recession. Yes, it's in us. It's in us as individuals to manage with the available resources. And if you do not or cannot do with the available resources, speak out. Speak out, be assertive, and that itself will help you to be, retain your integrity as well. Now, giving and receiving feedback. Now, EI is really, really very important when we talk about giving and receiving feedback. Some people are very, very scared, or some people get really offended when, when their feedback is not really interesting, or when the feedback score is not really, showing the best skills. And then giving feedback. We give feedback in terms of polarities. It is good, it is bad. Yes, is this a kind of feedback that one expects? A constructive feedback is always welcomed. What is good and what is not good? Can we really say that, your presentation was good or your presentation was bad? I hate if somebody would say that. Now, if it was good, what are the constructive factors that you found that they were good? You say that, the slides that you have used were interesting, or the language that you used was interesting. Okay, if it wasn't bad, if it wasn't good, you could always say that, I appreciate what you have done, but then it would have been better if you had done it this way. Suppose somebody has come in a very jarry colored dress, and then he or she asks you, tell me, how do I look today? Yes, a flashing colored dress, an outfit that somebody comes and then he or she asks, how do I look today? You really want to give your frank feedback saying that, you look so very awkward. You look like a clown. But then can we really do that? We cannot do that, because we will be hurting the other person's emotion by being or delivering a negative feedback. Now, that is what we have to be careful about. Now, meeting tight deadlines, yes. When we have deadlines, we get overstressed. We see that, the whole world, we are carrying the whole world. But then when we talk about deadlines, they can also be positive indicators to entail good performance also. Okay, so at all these places, we have talked about 6 different places where we need EI. Now let's talk about how do we build EI. Yes, Self-management. What do we talk? What do we mean by saying that, we have to manage ourselves? What is the meaning of managing ourselves? Self-discipline, self-management. That is the first key of success of every individual. Don't say that, it's only the knowledge that I've gained or the certificates that I've got or the degree that I've got that's important. People who haven't got any of these degrees also are doing excellent in lives. People who have, not even stepped into schools are doing excellent in life because they have a set discipline in their lives. Could be cultural factors, could be family factors, could be many of the factors that have helped them to manage themselves. So self-management is all about, having a balanced kind of a behavior when you are either confronting a happy situation or a sad situation. Are you being impulsive when something, bad happens to you, when somebody, has an argument with you and you suddenly argue or you retort in a similar manner and say that I have given him or her tit for tat? No, that is not the way we handle people. We might think that, we have won the situation. We might have a bigger voice than that person in front of us, but then managing ourselves would have a kind of positive vibe that might become so very contagious that the person before you might change his way of behavior. This is what is meant by EI. Okay, don't get too excited when you have happy situations also. Too excited, we are so very flown or we are so very overwhelmed by certain by something that happens to us that, we fail to balance something. Now you would have, we would have got to know many people, say for example, people in the industry who have seen success very soon, especially in the field of media or in the field of cinema and all that. Yes, they become very, very successful in a span of say 2 years, 5 years and all that. And the moment they become obsolete, the industry doesn't need them. They are not able to manage themselves. They are not able to manage that, now that they are not able to come to terms with life that, their tenure is off, being in the limelight is over. Now is the time to turn on to a new leaf and then start a new life again. So that is where they attempt to do the untowardly. Yes. Self-awareness. Now, what is the self-awareness? Now, there are emotions in us. Early morning, we wake up, we are fine, we are fresh, nothing has happened in our homes. I mean, we did not have an argument with mom, with our sibling, with anybody. We move out of the house and then we are there in college and things like that. And then you're happy, you're jolly. Okay. Are we aware that, we are happy today? Yes, it's a new day. Are we counting our blessings? Yes, are we counting? Yes, today is a very positive day. I have started, my day began with something very positive. Let me do something very constructive. Life is not about having a jolly ride. It's all about using that positivity or that positive energy in the right direction. Now, say for example, you did not have a good start. You did not have a good start and then you begin with a negative mind, you begin with a negative thought, you go to college or you go to your workplace, you're there at home, you are influencing your emotions, your feelings to the people that you are associated with. Mind you, it is not just you, it is the people around you who are also getting affected. So this kind of a self-awareness is something very important. Today I'm happy, today I'm sad. Why is it that is happening? Let us understand, let us have that kind of an awareness. Is it, some kind of an hormonal imbalance that is happening in my body? Yes. Is it because some kind of a bitter experience that I had last evening? Yes. So how do I manage this? Now there is a science called the science of attachment. Now what is the science of attachment? Now this science talks about, you know, the kind of experiences that we have had during childhood, love, hatred, anger, you know, the other extreme emotions that we have had, and how did our parents handle those situations, and how is it that, you know, it has impacted our lives. Now if you have had a very positive kind of an impact, or a positive kind of a, you know, upbringing, or a positive kind of examples that you have witnessed, then that are surely assets for you to practice them in your later part of life. Yes, somebody who has had bitter experiences during childhood, and, you know, a bad family and broken family, has distorted relationships and all that. He or she might carry the same vibes in his future or in his workplace as well. But then there are people who have dealt with these difficult situations also. They say that I have had enough in my childhood. I am not going to give in to this damn dirt, bitter experiences that I have had, and I am going to create a positive world for myself and my family and the people with whom I work. That is the kind of self awareness that we are talking about. Our feelings flow. Now I'm talking more about the self awareness because that's something that's very very important for us to realize, because emotions are there, emotions are coming, feelings are coming, but then we don't try to understand those, we don't try to concretize those, we don't remember that everything is energy, positivity or, you know, negativity, they're all energies. Let's try to, you know, put the positive energy to something more constructive, and let try to put you know, focus or channel the negative energy to the positive energy. So negative energy can also have destructive impact. Now feelings flow. How feelings flow? Morning you're happy, then afternoon you're sad, in the evening you know, come to terms. So these are different emotions that we have. Now these feelings can have an impact on our physical well-being also. It is appearing, your family can see that this boy is not eating well, this boy is, you know, irritated, this boy is not behaving well in the family. Okay, now these glaring emotions can have an intense impact on us, either in the form of, you know, behaving badly with others, or in the form of, you know, making something self-destructive. That's there in your mind, that's there everywhere. You know, you eat, drink, feel, think about it, you dream about it only. So this is something that's very, very important for us to handle. Yes, your core feelings, positive feelings is something that you should be able to channelize properly. Now, what is the social awareness? Social awareness is, now coming back to the self-awareness, I would also like to talk about this mindfulness. What is this mindfulness? When we realize that we have these emotions in us, we have these feelings in us, yes, we are overwhelmed by the things that are happening to us, let us practice something that is called as mindfulness. What is mindfulness? Giving time and space to our minds where the positive energy flows. Mindfulness is all about good living. How does this good living happen? When you are in control of your thinking, your control of your emotions. Now, how can this happen? Again, things like strategies like meditation, yoga, exercise, all these are ways in which you can have your mindfulness working in the right path. Now, what is a social awareness? Social awareness is all about understanding the people before you, understanding the people you are associated with. Their verbal communication, their non-verbal cues. What could be their non-verbal cues? Say, for example, you're working in a team of 5 people, and then you have been assigned a task of, you're working on a project, you've been assigned a task of doing some kind of field work. But then you have a colleague also who's been assigned a similar task. But then he is not contributing the way you are doing on the project. Okay, so he sends multiple cues in the form of non-verbal communication, in the form of verbal communication. He's irritated, he doesn't take your calls, or when you talk about the project, he tries to be evasive of it and things like that. So it is in you to understand that he is sending the signals quite straight that he is not interested in the task at all. So how do we handle him? So it is in us to handle such a situation. Either you take it your way and have a frank talk with him and understand why is it that he doesn't like the project, or if he is very vehement in saying that, you know, I do not like it, I'm not going to do, I would appreciate something else, then you can have a talk with your boss and then see to it that somebody else accompanies your project work or whatever. Now, relationship management. Relationship management is all about sustaining leadership. Remember that, you know, today it is not about top-down approach of management. It is more, or the bottom-top approach of management. It is more to do with cross-sectional. Now, when we say, I am sure that, you know, each one of you understand the organization's stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders in an organization? It is everyone who is involved in the key operations of a particular organization. Say, for example, a college, an institution. Who are the stakeholders? Is it only the students? Is it only the management, the principal, and the faculty who are the stakeholders? It involves many people. It involves students, it involves parents, it involves, you know, even the non-teaching staff. All these are part of the decision-making process. It is not, days are gone when we used to say that, you know, one man instructs and all others follow. No, it is not like that. It is cross-sectional management. And more focus today is about student leadership. Why is it that we are talking about student leadership so much? Because you are the leaders in the making. How well have you impacted the college, the institution, in the decision-making process, which has made the institution make certain important decisions? Yes, it could be constructive. Yes, it could be critical. You can always approach, say that, you know, this is something that you like in our college, and then let us escalate it to the next level. Wonderful. You can always have the right to say that, you know, sir, this is not the way that we are supposed to handle this particular situation. Maybe we can handle it in a different way. So you can put it forward. So here, you as a decision maker are trying to impact the teachers. Teachers are trying to impact the higher level management people. And that is where, you know, that is how an institution or an organization functions, where this kind of a cross-sectional decision making is the need of the hour. Okay, when I talked about strategies, now Daniel Goleman, as I told you, he was very popular for his book on emotional intelligence, who has said that, you know, other than IQ, EQ is something very, very important. So he has come up with this 5-ringed model where he talks about, it's more or less to do with the previous slide where we talked about how to manage emotional intelligence. Now see there, he has talked about self-awareness, empathy, motivation, self-regulation, social skills. Self-awareness we handle very well. Now empathy, what is empathy? There is a difference between being sympathy and having empathy. Being empathetic is being in the other person's shoes and yes, being in the other person's shoes and working accordingly or having an action accordingly. Now, say for example, somebody meets with an accident on the road. Okay, you have witnessed that accident, right? Now, suppose you say, oh my God, this person has met with an accident, he's bleeding badly and things like that, is showing sympathy. Now, what is being empathetic over there? You are fully charged, you leave your bike over there and then you say this person has to be taken to the hospital, you call the 107 or whatever, and then you are into action and see to it that that person is taken to the hospital. That is what we mean by being empathetic. In an organization, empathy, being empathetic to your colleagues, to your peers is very, very important. Now, motivation is something that we all need. Self-motivation. Only when we are self-motivated, we motivate the others. Self-regulation, I talked about self-management. That's all about self-regulation. Social skills, when all these factors are good in us, that definitely leads us to build a strong relationship with people. What is the time? It's 9. Yeah. Now, people with low emotional intelligence. Now, see there, the picture says how they behave. They are either argumentative, they are not listening, they blame others, they display emotional outbursts. Yes, they are very argumentative. People who have no emotional intelligence are very, very argumentative. And how do you behave when they are argumentative? Do you also equally have an argument with them? Our emotional intelligence comes to the fore how we handle such people. If we are also equally hot, equally impulsive, equally, throwing words at those people, we are no less than the person before us. So it is all in us to handle such a person and then show our emotional intelligence. That person might feel that he has won the situation, but our behavior, our positive impact will make us lead or make us win the war. Remember that. Not listening. Yes, people who are, arrogant, who do not have the right balance, they are not listening. They feel that, they know everything and nobody needs to instruct them anything. And then there are people who blame others. Now they know it's their mistake, it's their inefficiency, it's their incapability of handling certain things or handling certain situations, but then they feel it very easy to blame others for their mistakes. Mind you, these cues are very, very, what do we say, apparent. When you blame others, don't ever think that, you're pointing one finger, but the other 4 fingers are showing you. Now, what is it that is showing you? You are giving a cue to your boss saying that, I am at fault. So the boss will not focus on the person whom you're blaming, but the boss will focus on you. Why is it that this person has blamed the other? Is it his incapacity to handle the other person? Or is it his, lack of knowledge of the other person that he has put the blame on the others? Emotional outbursts. We see people displaying emotional outbursts, anger, sad. Remember, anger and sadness. Maturity comes only when we balance between these two. That's why we put the first slide, heart and the brain. Yes, when we are too extremely happy also, we need not display it so much that, people think that something is wrong with this fellow or something is wrong with that person. Yes, you celebrate, but then it should not be so loud that, the world thinks that, the person is unable to handle his own emotions. So these are the general behaviors of people with low EI. Now EQ or IQ, this slide shows, you know, employers say that they value EI over IQ in their employees. 71% of them give weightage to EI and 59% of them give weightage to IQ. I've been in the panel for, in the B school where we had the interviews. There are people who are highly intelligent with a very good score, with their GPS something between 8 and 9 and things like that. But they are people who cannot handle emotional intelligence. They are people who cannot handle situations. They are people who do not put their common sense in play. They think that they know everything. Okay, so such people are not or uncalled for. These people are not, invited. These people are said to be or decided to be people with the wrong attitude, closed in mind, and people who cannot are not open to learning. Your EI is good. Say for example, somebody has a normal score, something between 60 or 70, but then he displays his emotional intelligence in the way he answers the questions, in the way he, faces the interview. Definitely he or she would be absorbed. Now, this slide talks about people with high emotional intelligence and people with low emotional intelligence. People with high emotional intelligence are assertive, ambitious, driving, strong-willed, and decisive. What is an assertive behavior? What is an assertive behavior? When we talk about assertive behavior, yes, there are different styles of behavior. Somebody is aggressive, somebody is assertive, somebody is submissive. Aggression and submission are two extremes. Aggression and submission, these are two extremes. Either you think that you know everything, you are egoistic and things like that, and you're in a fit of anger and all that. Assertive is something that says that you show your integrity over there. You show your integrity over there, and that is what makes you shine in your place. A submissive person is a person who is always saying yes boss to everything. A person who believes only in pleasing his boss, although the boss says that he gives him a task which is impossible, or he gives him a task which is highly not his forte, but still he says yes sir. That is submission. Assertive behavior comes when you say that, I would appreciate if you give me a different task. Thank you for giving me that task, but I would appreciate if you give me a different task, because that is where my strength lies. That is what is meant by assertion, or showing an assertive kind of a behavior. So people with high emotional intelligence are ambitious people. They have a strong will, they have a driving will, and they are good decision makers. Now I would like to show one, now the PowerPoint ends with this. We cannot tell what may happen to us in the strange medley of life, but we can decide what happens in us, how we can take it, what we do with it, and that is what really counts in the end. Somebody has, I guess it's Seneca, a great philosopher, who tells that life is all about whatever we take in, and that is what comes to the fore, and that is what we display at the outset. So thank you, and I want to share one questionnaire with you that's on emotional intelligence. Yeah. Are you able to see the screen?
Yes, madam.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, by the end of the session, I hope you understood what emotional intelligence is all about.
get disconnected?
Mm.
Yes, ma'am. She's not in the list.
Oh, yes.
Roy, I will send the
If couple of you can quickly read. My emotions generally have a strong impact on the way I behave, or little or no impact on the way I behave. A or B? Which one would be the right option?
Yeah.
A?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm generally guided by my goals and values or others' goals and values.
My goals and values.
Okay. When I'm under pressure, I generally have.
E, ma'am.
ma'am.
Yeah, ma'am. It is changed behavior from normal when I'm under pressure. Maybe slight change may happen from normal behavior.
Okay. When I'm under pressure, I generally have changed behaviors from normal. The other option, behaviors that remain unchanged. Okay. You say the first option.
Yes.
I generally learn most by actively participating in activities or from reflecting on past experiences.
From
Both.
reflecting.
B, ma'am, B.
Both, ma'am.
B.
Okay.
It's like part of past experiences and normal present experience also we'll learn.
Don't you think it is important to live in the present?
Yes, it's important to live in the present, but we learn so many things from past experiences
yes.
also.
Okay. I generally have a good sense of humor about myself or take myself seriously. What is important?
A.
Yeah, ma'am. Good sense of humor about myself.
Okay. I present myself with assurance and having presence or with some confidence and cautiousness.
B.
Some confidence
Cautiousness is important.
with assurance and having
Both
presence.
take place at once.
Yeah, ma'am.
A. Assurance also gives you confidence, right?
Yes.
Where there are uncertainties and pressures, I'm always.
Decisive makes some decision.
What is being decisive?
Not real.
Making quick decisions, no?
Yes.
Being able to make decisions fast. I always voice views that are popular and go out on a limb for what is right, or most others agree with and support.
Hmm.
Yes? B or A?
This is little tricky, ma'am, but I'll go with A. Yes.
A?
Yes.
If
A.
it's A, why A? If it's B, why B?
See, B is like most of the time we people influenced by others and follow their things.
Okay.
And A is like there are some situations where all are negative to that point, but we want to do this thing, so that's A.
Okay, very good. The reason why these non-polar questions or I gave you questions between these polarities is to understand how you balance your emotions.
Yes.
Okay. I always like to
Uh,
take on new challenges, maintain the status quo.
status quo. Okay. Take down new challenges, ma'am. For me, though, I don't know others, but
I generally
inspire confidence in others.
Okay, very good. I generally allow my emotions and moods to impact on my behaviors or keep my destructive emotions and impulses under control.
B, ma'am. This thing is keep my destructive emotions and impulse under control.
Yeah, that is what EI is all about.
Yes.
When I'm under pressure,
Yes, ma'am. That is the thing I want to, because when I'm under pressure, this is also we have second question. No, ma'am. Same question that happens in the
yes,
second.
when I'm under pressure, I get easily distracted in other things or I think clearly and stay focused.
Not easily distracted, but somewhat distracted when I'm in pressure.
Yeah,
Pressure.
but then that is when your EA comes to the fore, no? You're
Yes.
supposed to be clear in what you have to do and then stay focused. During changing situations, I always,
Okay, ma'am. Smoothly handle multiple demands and shifting priorities.
okay. When obstacles and setbacks occur in pursuing my goals, I always,
Persist in seeking them, ma'am.
very good, persist in seeking them rather than, resetting
Yes.
your goals.
Yes.
Generally, I, now this is
Uh,
A, ma'am.
important,
what is required or expected.
pursue goals beyond what is required,
Right.
okay? Rather than
Having.
just a confined goals. When I identify opportunities, I'm always,
Proactive in pursuing the activities.
Yes.
okay. I always handle difficult people.
It's
In
B,
straightforward
diplomacy
and
tact. A,
yes,
ma'am.
B.
handle
With
difficult people.
diplomacy and
They
tact,
don't act like a time.
Difficult, handle difficult people. I always handle difficult people with yes.
Tact.
Okay. Diplomacy and tact. Yes, ma'am.
diplomacy and tact. That's how, when you
Yes.
understand, you become empathetic.
Yes.
I always seek out relationships that,
Mutual beneficial, ma'am. We must not be selfish by ourselves only.
something
They
that is
also should
mutually beneficial.
beneficial. Yes.
Only selfish motives, right?
Yes.
I generally have a,
Huh?
Balanced
ma'am.
focus on task and relationships.
okay, good. When I work with teams, I always,
Draw all members into enthusiastic participation, ma'am.
It's B, ma'am.
okay. Thank you so much. So shall we call it a day? Bobby sir, Anu, it's been really interesting to take this session on emotional intelligence. In fact, gave me a cue to understand my own emotional intelligence to balance between the classroom setup and the virtual setup. Bobby sir, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Anybody for question answer round?
Yeah. Any questions? I'm open to it.
Ma'am, as you said that if we are in pressure, like we need to balance our behavior to same in the way of normal thing. We must not change our behavior from normal. So what you say, ma'am, how we'll balance that thing?
Hope.
You have negativity, you are besieged by negativities. That's what it means, when you're under pressure, when you're under stress. So you're besieged by negative energy, isn't it?
Yes.
So try to focus or divert your energy to something positive. Can you be evasive of the fact that life is all about juggling with uncertainties and life is all about juggling with negative things and negative and positivity? We cannot, right? We cannot be evasive of all these facts, right? So it is in us to divert that. So what are the strategies that I told you to, overcome this kind of a situation? It all depends on us. Whether, you count from 1 to 100, or you say that you will get into a meditative mode, or you will say that I will give space to myself. Today, I'm not going to talk to anybody. Understand what is it that is happening to me. Is it because of the situation? Is it because of something that is happening within my body? And then, think what has to be done and act accordingly. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions? All right. Okay, fine. Then we'll close it here, ma'am.
Yeah. Any more from the teachers also? I'm open to any interaction.
Nothing from my end, ma'am.
Okay, then shall we call it a day?
1 second, ma'am. So Vaishnavi will end this.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. That was a very enriching session by Maitri ma'am on emotional intelligence. We learned a lot about what is AI, history of it, need of AI, and strategies for building AI. I'm sure by now everyone know how important to recognize, understand, and manage our own emotions, and not only ours but also others, which is otherly called social intelligence. We also learned about Harvard Gardner theory of intra and interpersonal skills and also Daniel Goleman's model. Thank you, Maitri ma'am, for making us know how important to have both EI and EQ and EI to succeed in our lives. I would like to end with a quote. Emotionally intelligent leader know when to display emotions and when to delay emotions. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Vaishnavi, thank you so much. You have been an ardent listener. I like the fact that you have covered everything in a capsuled way. Thank you so
ma'am.
much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, the
Thank you,
Department of
ma'am.
Management, for having me to facilitate this session on emotional intelligence. Thank you, one
Thank
and
you
all.
so much, madam. Thank you, Mathur ma'am.
I hope it was constructive. I hope it was helpful.
Yes, ma'am, it was.
Yes, ma'am. It is very, very useful